I was disappointed, frankly, over the last 8 years, that there were so many political appointees in this very small agency. Once was much larger than it is today, almost double the personnel size. But for an agency of roughly 400 people to have 9 political appointees overseeing its operation, I thought was unnecessary. It was wasteful. It was just a place to park political pals, and they're gone, aren't they? They're all gone, aren't they? Yeah, good. And it will start afresh, and I will insist with this incoming administration. You need an administrator, you need an assistant administrator, maybe you need a a congressional relations person, but not much more than that. We need to revitalize the economic development representative staff. The EDRs have been cut back, and that's not been by accident or neglect. The EDR is the person in the field who is the filter between those who want to do something good, but may not be the right thing, may not be done in the right way, and the EDA regional office and the headquarters office and their congressional delegation. If the EDR does his job right, members of Congress don't get that last-minute urgent appeal, save this project that's been from the clutches of these evil people, and the EDA don't understand our needs. Well, if the EDR is doing his or her job well, they do understand the needs, and what's being proposed is maybe not always the right one. So filtering out those projects and guiding local interests and preparing their proposal in the right way, but various administrations, Reagan administration starting, and then Bush 1 and Bush 2, realized that the way to kill EDR is to kill the EDA is to kill the EDR. And they cut back that staff substantially. And Madam Chair and Mr. Diaz-Balart, when we do the authorization, we need to rebuild that economic development representative staff. They're skilled economic development professionals. They're doing their job. They're out in the community with the business community, with the bankers, with the local government personnel, with local economic development teams in communities, in regional settings, and we need that. We need to reestablish that expertise in the program. I think, frankly, if it had been up to me and Ms. Norton to write the economic recovery bill, I think we'd have had EDA at the center of it. We'd have had a lot of Republican support for that. EDA actually had over $465 million in the House version of the bill. Should have had $1 billion. There are projects that are ready to go, industrial parks that are ready to go to contract, to build, to develop. And if the purpose of recovery is to create jobs, who does it better than EDA? And I remember when Mr. Klinger, Republican of Pennsylvania, was the ranking Republican on our committee. Previously to being elected to Congress, he had been chief counsel at EDA. Bill Klinger really knew the programs and the operation of EDA very well. And we launched into a 6-month-long inquiry into the operation effectiveness of the programs, the result of which was that for the $1 billion that had been invested up to that time in EDA projects, every year, $6.5 billion in taxes were being paid to federal, state, and local governments from the jobs created by EDA. Every year, 6 times the investment was being repaid in taxes by businesses and individuals, and jobs created by EDA investments. You don't get that kind of a turnover in the stock market, and that is a net national benefit. So reestablishing the EDRs and expanding their number, strengthening the regional offices, I think is important for the future of EDA. I think we ought to also have a loan program. In the beginning, EDA was a full package operation. The community would come in with their project for the industrial park, or a grant for the industrial park for water and sewer and access road and electricity lines and so on. And then the business coming in said, well, this is new to the area. We need to train people, so EDA could provide training assistance. The company didn't have working capital often, so EDA provided working capital assistance. And in all, it turned out to be a complete or technical assistance, which still survives, but technical assistance to not to do basic research, but to take the a project or a product to market operation. And I think we ought to bring back those basic effective principles of EDA. I don't think that EDA should create a new staffing for loans, but I think that should be, in effect, outsourced to the Small Business Administration, but operating under different principles, under ones that we will establish for EDA. I think the job training, which is such an important component of new economic development initiatives, could be done by the Labor Department, but again under EDA funding for it. So that you don't, for a community doesn't have to go shop to SBA to get help for one thing, go to the Labor Department for something else, go to somebody else to get technical assistance, but do it all within EDA as we once did, but not creating new staffing to do this, except perhaps a handful to oversee the channeling of funds and have the ability to command the resources of Small Business Administration, Department of Labor, technical assistance funding, and to cooperate with local and regional initiatives. There are many university research, development, testing, training centers whose resources can be brought to bear on the needs of economic development. We learned in the Appalachia program. We learned in eastern Kentucky and in southwestern Virginia, areas or like the Rust Belt of Illinois, northern Indiana, Ohio, the Pittsburgh area, Pennsylvania, that you have an area that's gone through 100 years of decline. You don't bring it back overnight. And it takes more than just an industrial park. You also have to have drinking water and wastewater treatment, and you have to have advanced wastewater treatment, and you have to have transportation access. Many of these places, I'll never forget going into West Virginia on our hearing, Mr. Klinger and I, Madam Chair, we went to a small town in which the mayor was also the chair of the local economic development committee. And he was a witness at the hearing. And he brought us on a walking tour of the town. And we stopped in his shop. And he told this story. That year after year, we'd get prospects coming to our community, wanting to locate a manufacturing facility or a processing or an assembly plant. And they'd ask, well, how's your river access? Well, we don't really have access to river. We don't really have a river. Well, how about rail service? Well, I tell you, the railroad just doesn't come up to our town. And how about the airport? Well, how's air service? Well, we don't have an airport, so we don't have air service. Well, how's your truck service and your highways? Well, we got this one-lane road in, and we got the one-lane road out. And then you see them wilt, and they'd go away and never come back. But on the wall, back of the cash register, was a little sign that read, "God never put nobody in a place too small to grow." That should be the motto of EDA, because they've helped places so small as that to grow. If we do it right, we'll give a helping hand so that people can pull their bootstraps, pull themselves up. That's what EDA is all about. Thank you, Madam Chair.